Hi all. I feel I've jumped the gun a bit yesterday by talking about Philidor, one of the leading French players. How did chess get into France? I've been doing some research in the pre-Philidor era of chess, and here is a map, a fascinating map on Wiki, where the origins of the game, they originated, the theories hold that it originated in India during the Gupta Empire. So it had an early form in the 6th century known as Chaturanga, which translates as the 4 divisions of the military. So the 4 divisions were the infantry, cavalry, elephantry and chariotry. So they represented by the pieces on the chessboard that would evolve into the modern pawn, knight, bishop, rook, respectively. So we see here 600. Then we see, the migration of chess, and it's linked, basically, to the spread of Islam, because there was a key point in the history of chess where there was an Islamic conquest of Persia. You can see 600, then 900, 1000, 1100, 1200. And then you see, heading into Europe. So 1400, 1500. So around 1500s, Italy, Spain, and then later France, England, United Kingdom. So basically, this is a diffusion map of chess, how it spread. So the belief is it started around 600. According to Wiki, the Moors of North Africa rendered shatranj, so we see here shatranj instead of chaturanga, which gave rise to the Spanish ajedrez and ajedrez. So Chaturanga, Shatranj, and there's ajedrez. In Portuguese it became Xadrez, and in Greek Zadrezikion. But in the rest of Europe it was replaced by versions of the Persian Shah, king. Thus the game became known as Tsar in Romanian, Tsar in Slovene, Szach in Germany, Szachin in Dutch, Szaki in Finnish, Szaki in Polish, Zaki in Italian, Zas in Latvia, Szach in Danish, Essex in Catalan, and Essex in French, the Old French Essex. So there are a few theories why this happens, but you see this migration map, and basically the game was actually formalized in its current state, at least 200 years before Philidor, Italy and Spain. And there are even some documented games, at chessgames.com, for these early, Italian and Spanish players. Okay, so basically the game, once it, entered Spain and Italy, it was in its solid modern form, where the queen was, very powerful, pawn promotion, stuff like that, the modern sort of game. So writings about the theory of how to play actually began in the 15th century. The oldest surviving printed chess book is called Repetition des Amores, Art des Ajedrez, so repetition of love and the art of playing chess. So Ajedrez, about 1500. So we see from this map, this diffusion, 1500. So it was by the Spanish churchman Luis Ramirez de Lucena, and was published in Salamanca in 1497. So Lucena and later masters like the Portuguese Pedro Damiano, Italians Giovanni Leonardo di Bona, and also Gilio Cesare Polerio, and Giacomo Canio Greco, or the Spanish bishop Ruy Lopez de Segura, they developed elements of openings and started to analyse simple endgames. Of course, we all know the Ruy Lopez nowadays, so that's after the Spanish, Bishop Ruy Lopez de Segura. So the 18th century, in the 18th century, the centre of European chess life, according to Wiki, moved into southern European countries to France. So that's where Philidor, became very influential. And actually, in the middle of this, by the way, there's a very famous, coffee house called the Café de la Régence in Paris. Coffee houses were good for the, they were like, they were great social places where chess was played, and also like Simpson's Divan in London. So basically, there are some famous, Italian and Spanish players, which, to be fair, I think we should look at some of their games, like Greco, like Ruy Lopez, and these others. So in this second part, let's have a quick look at some of their games too, for the evolution of chess style. Okay, let's have a quick look at one of the last of the great Italian players first. I know this is not strictly chronological order, but Giovanni Greco was born around 1600 in Celico, Italy, near Cosenza in Calabria. So he kept a notebook of tactics and games, and many of those games are available on sites like chessgames.com and other databases. And in many ways, these are the simplest games imaginable. A lot of them are less than 20 moves. Here is one of them. So he kicked off with e4. His opponent, NN, basically no name. We don't know who his opponent was, but the opponent, did weaken this critical diagonal, which was exploited, expertly. So check after f takes g6, knight f6. White took on h7, offering the queen. So knight takes h5, bishop g6. So this was apparently played in Rome back in 1619. So about 100 years before Philidor. So, and Greco, he's got a lot of games, quite a few game examples in chessgames.com. Before Greco, basically, between 1560 and 1590, the two leading Italian players were Giovanni Leonardo and Paolo Bolli. So Leonardo was slower and more careful. And Paolo Boy was faster and more brilliant. They both actually excelled in blindfold play, and in 1574 they visited Spain to play against Ruy Lopez and Alfonso Serron. So they tried to prove their superiority in a number of matches before King Philip II. By the way, I'm trying to get some historical support from one of my most favourite books called The World of Chess by Anthony Sadie and Lessing. I'm also going to try and acquire other historical books for cross-referencing here. And also Wiki. But let's have a look at some of these other earlier Italians. But if you want really, really simple games to study for simple, neat tactics, have a look at Greco.